I think there is some truth in the rumour that Minister Shane Ross is having a professional fight. We're going to see if I can sign him up to have a professional fight.
Is he here?
But no, I don't think he could be here yet. So look, just want to thank you all very much for the support, and it's just supposed to be kind of a casual thing. If anyone has any questions at all, it'd be... Do you want to say a few words, Katie, actually? Sorry.
Not really, to be honest. Just, I don't know, just have any questions.
How quickly did it settle in for you, Katie? Did it take coming home before you had a chance to really process it, or was it actually a more instantaneous thing afterwards?
No, I think it was probably the next day when I was with my family again. I mean, this is something that I dreamed of since I did turn professional, and just to have these 5 belts here, so it is absolutely phenomenal. And the next day when I'm with my family, when we're actually talking about the fight, when we're talking about how far I've actually come over the last few years, I think that's kind of where it really hit me. And to do it in Madison Square Garden, the knockout boxing in a fight of the year contender, it was absolutely amazing. I don't want to be involved in too many of those fights, but what an absolute battle, what a fight it was.
We know that you obviously enjoy spending time with your nieces and nephews and family, especially when you get home. Aside from that, what are your favourite parts of getting home, especially when it's been so long since you were home last time?
I just love being in my own house, really. Just I don't think I've been home properly over the last 6 months. It's been such a busy few months from the Roseville Opry fight. I was only home for a week, and then I was straight back over to start training camp for this fight. So I'm just happy to be home and just eating what I want for the next few weeks, and then eating all the chocolate in the world.
Chocolate cake. If there's any chocolate cake eating competitions there, if I can enter.
Yes, seriously. But it really is just the simple things, just spending time with family and friends.
Obviously you discussed the fight with your family. Have you had a chance, or would you even be inclined to look at any of the external reaction to the fight? People will call it controversial. There are certain female fighters would say you lost, others kind of feel as though it was closer. Would you pay attention to any of that? Have you seen any of it?
I've obviously seen some of it, yeah, for sure. I haven't seen the fight yet myself, but I knew at the time it was a very, very close fight. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. We were prepared for a tough fight, and we were very confident that we did enough early on in the fight to actually win the fight. So the fight could have went either way, no doubt about it. It was a very, very close fight, but I thought the cleaner what came for me. I was a deserved winner, and I am sitting here as the Undisputed champion, and I'm not really too concerned about what other people are saying. The opinions that I do care about are the people closest to me, my family, and the likes of my team, and they're very, very honest people, and they all had me win, I say 6-4. So
because I certainly give Katie 5 of the first 6, and certainly give her the 9th. But again, it's a bit like everyone has an opinion, and I do wonder many people actually even wrote it down or scored it or watched it, because some of these people you do wonder. But because I said it to you in the ring after, didn't I, that we had it for sure. So, but it was a close fight. She's a very good fighter. I have to give her credit for that. So
I spoke to her last night, and also to her manager.
now there's rumours going around, Sean, about you and her. So I just want to get good. Just for the record, Sean, it's good to get that straight.
Just for the record. So basically, well, 2 things basically came out of it. One was that her manager has put a purse of €300,000 on the table for an immediate rematch in the next 6 months.
is that in Belgium?
In Belgium, yes.
The
Pearson
knockout
said-
Now, in fairness, now Belgium's good to go for chocolates. There's lovely chocolates.
And secondly, I'm quoting her now, I'm not saying this, that she said, her son said that she wouldn't have the guts to go and fight her in Belgium. So basically, what's your reaction to that?
I think the reaction is on the table here. This here is what speaks. And in fairness to her, she's a good fighter and a great champion, but that was her first time fighting out of the States. So, it's up to her to...
I mean, it doesn't make any sense to go to
No,
Belgium to
it's
fight.
ludicrous, actually. Ludicrous. It's a crazy statement. She's not in any position to be making any demands. And, good fighter that she is, Sean. She needs to... If she's that interested, let her go to America there and start making a bit of a name, and I suppose that was part of the problem, is that people, every time Katie Taylor fights, everyone just expects Katie to win, and I don't know, we certainly gave Define Pursuing WBC champion plenty of respect. I don't think too many people did, or too many people bothered to watch her, but she's a great fighter, and that's, she has more knockouts than Katie has had fights, but again, it's learning. That was only Katie's 14th pro fight, so it's the journey continues. We have our own plans, our own path set out, and so it's worked pretty good so far. We're going to stick with that.
With the path you have set out, I think you were saying to RTE that the rematch definitely won't be next in line, that it'll be further down the line. Could you understand from their perspective, and in Belgium and even outside of it, how people would perceive that as you kind of implying, well, that was a tough fight, we don't want that again straight away, like that you wouldn't necessarily actually want the rematch? Well,
the rematch is inevitable. I don't think there's any doubt that Katie wants it, but we've started last October. Cindy Serrano, Katie fought her. That was the start of building up the Serrano fight with her sister Amanda Serrano, and then in turn Eddie signed her up to a 3-fight deal, which has had one fight of that. So like Amanda Serrano is our preferred choice this year, so she used to have one more fight, and then she signed, like it's done, the deal is done, purse agreed, she signed a 3-fight deal, has had one of them 3 fights, she's due one more, and then the next fight she has to fight Katie Taylor, and she's a very good fighter too, Amanda.
So has that fight moved a little bit closer to coming to fruition?
Well, I suppose ask me at the end of next week. I'm meeting Eddie in London next week, so I can tell you more, but I mean the deal is done, it's signed, we've agreed, and she's agreed, and I've seen the contract, so I don't know what more than that you can do.
But she will have to she will have to fight the second fight before you.
Correct. That is correct.
And when you say that she's signed the deal, are we talking about the contract that she signed originally with Matchroom, or has that been updated to her satisfaction?
No, that's, well, to her satisfaction, I don't know, whatever way you want to try to get out of a fight, but she signed it. The contract is, the deal is done. The deal is done to fight Amanda Serrano, and she's had one fight out of the deal, so she's committed to it and agreed to it by having the one fight. She can't fight. It's up, Eddie Hearn now controls her next 2 fights.
Katie, you mentioned that Saturday night was the culmination of long-held ambition that you'd had. How did it feel when it became a reality, and can you put it into perspective how it compares to your previous achievements?
Yeah, I mean, I think this definitely has surpassed anything that I've ever done as an amateur, really, which is amazing. It's amazing that the London Olympics now isn't my greatest achievement. I am going from strength to strength, but this is the absolute pinnacle of boxing. The Ring magazine belt. This is the champion of champions in each weight division, and this is the years and years and years of hard work. I started boxing as a 10 or 11-year-old, and that's been my life really for 20 years, and this is what I have to show for, which is absolutely incredible. And
we're obviously briefly talking about whatever your next fight might be there, but with 14 fights in probably a little over 2.5 years, do you intend to continue with the same momentum going forward, or do you kind of pull back the reins a little bit from this point on?
Well, I'm definitely going to have a few weeks off, that's for sure. This is the first time I've had a few weeks off, I think, since I have turned professional. So
catch our breath.
I definitely need a good rest. We can probably pull back the reins a small bit, but I mean, maybe fighting again in September, October sometime, and we'll see how it goes. But we don't have to fight as regular as I have been doing. But well, that's what Brian told me this morning.
So I don't know if I should listen to it or not. So you all heard it there. Have you got know that it's on record there? So, but look, there's loads of good fights out there, and what a great way to be sitting here with a rival like, Define Pursoon. Can't beat the rivalries. That's what's made all the big fights in history between Ali, Frazier, and to do it in the mecca of boxing like Madison Square Garden, which indeed is going to be Katie Taylor's new home. The roar that when she came out, and even the roar at the weigh-in, and the reception we've got has just been outstanding, and it's been great for again, Katie just keeps breaking new boundaries and creating new history. It's phenomenal to, we stole the show the other night on a night that was one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight boxing history. To steal the show was quite something, and at the last couple of rounds they were standing on their feet. So I think it was a very proud moment for Katie and for female boxing, and for the Irish as well.
Speaking of breaking boundaries and Madison Square Garden potentially becoming a home, can we deduce from that the Serrano fight would be, as previously mooted, a headliner in the Hulu Theatre, possibly?
Correct. That's exactly, yeah. That is our preferred choice, and that is our first choice. That Katie starts topping shows. The Zone are happy to run with it, and so it's just, you know. And Amanda Serrano has always been. We've talked about it long before this fight. So, but
Katie,
like,
if I could, sorry.
sorry, I have no doubt about it. Define Pursuing will get her opportunity again.
Katie, or sorry.
Your opponents will look at the fight and see the awkward, sort of unorthodox way Pursuing fought, and maybe learn something from it, the way to face you, to just mix it up.
Yeah.
I mean, are you expecting that to be more prevalent in your future fights,
Yeah,
that
I
they will
think-
mix it up like that? And how are
yeah.
you going to deal with it?
Yeah, I definitely think the rest of the opponents are going to try to be as physical as that, and that's okay with me. I think I'm going to be better prepared. It wasn't the best performance on Saturday night, and even with that, I did win the fight, and I'm very happy to be involved in a physical fight like that again. And if that's the way they want to fight, I will be well prepared. I am getting better, fighting it close. I am getting stronger, and I'm very happy for those opponents.
You'd certainly
for
look
those
forward to it
opponents
anyway,
fight,
to
yeah.
bring it on. There wouldn't
That's
be.
for sure, yeah.
Do you think you accepted that physical challenge too easily, and maybe
Yeah.
in another time, another
Yeah.
year, that
Seriously.
you'd fight more from distance, or I don't know? Just
No, Liz, absolutely. It's just my personality. Sometimes I get caught into a fight at times. That's for sure. I probably have too much of a heart at times, where I should be boxing on the outside, but I do love a good tear up. I think that's one of the most enjoyable parts of boxing, is standing there and actually trading punches. Although I was giving my corner a nervous breakdown, I understand that, but
yeah, you seem to be. That's why I asked you.
yeah, but I definitely do need to be a bit more disciplined at times. But it is all a learning curve for me as well. I'm getting better in each fight. I am.
You
I
did
am
that
still
in amateur
learning.
as well, didn't you?
Yeah,
You go toe
exactly.
to toe,
Yeah,
which is
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I do want to enjoy my boxing as well. Sometimes, you know, Brian said to me after the fight, you know, okay, when you're calling someone in, you're not supposed to get hit with the punches.
Yeah.
I know, Brian. I know. But no, I am definitely. I definitely do enjoy that type of fight, but.
Like,
I
let's
don't
not
wanna
forget.
I don't want to be involved in too many of those
No,
fights. That's
too many of
for
them
sure.
was,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
especially. But like,
You
it
know,
was only
there's
14
enough.
fights,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Only
Oh,
2.5
yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So like, there is to find Pursuing a lot more experience. You know, she had more KOs than Katie had fights. So
Yeah.
like, we're kind of
In
learning.
the last 3 fights, the final person was 43-1.
Yeah. Valente was 14-0.
You know,
Eva Wallstrom was, you know, 22-0. So like, there's one defeat, like nearly 85 wins and one defeat. So it's a fair level and a fair standard. And but look, this is what is in front of us. This is what it's all about, and it puts Katie into a very elite group of boxers, you know, in history.
About New York,
Which is-
not about fighting in New York, but the whole vibe of it, fighting on that card that night. What was it like
Oh, it
being
was
in the dressing
amazing.
room before it?
Yeah, it was incredible actually. I knew during fight week that this night was actually different. You know, this is Anthony Joshua's debut fight, and there was something different about this night. The atmosphere all week was very, very special, and there was definitely something very, very special.
Very
about the
magical
week,
about
and-
it, yeah.
and,
You know, the whole vibe, the garden, and I suppose just with the history there. And
I mean,
was
the
it-
way in it itself with the atmosphere was
madness.
incredible. So
there was a gentleman now, excuse me, I forget his name. He's there since '61. He actually built the ring. He's a Tyrone man. They came in to see us after the Carpenters there in Madison Square. He built the ring that Ali and Fraser fought in. So they came in. So it's just history that's attached to it. It's spine tingling, really, isn't it?
people were
And
saying it was one of the best nights they've ever seen in Madison Square
Yeah.
Garden for years to
Well,
go.
I suppose with the
So,
whole vibe of the top of the bill and the surprise there
Yeah.
as well,
But-
added to the.
But it was a crazy night, and like, there was another guy there, Joshua Kelly, very good prospect. Adam Booth trains him. You know, he struggled. Like, it is different when you go to America, and you know, Anthony Joshua certainly struggled. So it is a different scene, different vibe. You know, and I'd say most of the boys they struggled. You know, that was their first time fighting too. So, but it was good, and the experience you get is
So
it's-
it's all going to be about New York now. There's no chance of going back here at all.
No, unlikely. Again, you see, we have like most things in life, we're all answerable to someone, and we're answerable to the Zone. So they, you know, they kind of dictate, and obviously they want it on primetime America. So they're just signed up Canelo, made him the richest sports person of all time. So they want us in America, and they want us, you know, obviously to get subscriptions to move the needle on their scene. So
Realistic about that, Katie? Sorry, realistic about that? That has to be in the States. And not
Sorry?
here. Are you realistic about the fact that it has to be in the States now and not fight here?
Yeah, I mean that's where all the big fights are. I guess are made. That's where the money is. I guess I'd love to fight here, obviously, and I hope that can happen in the future sometime. But right now it just doesn't look possible due to circumstances that are out of my control. But I just have to go where I'm told to go, and I just want to be involved in big fights now. And there's definitely a huge fights out there to be made, as Brian said, with Madison Serrano, even Cecilia Brackett. These are history making fights, and these are the biggest fights in boxing, not just in women's boxing, but boxing as a whole. So this is an exciting time for me.
And indeed, to pay them the purses that they warrant and that they're entitled to, it's hard even for the over this side of the Atlantic to soak up them kind of purses. And really, it's got to be America.
Do you think, Katie, are you far away from getting anywhere close to earning the kind of money that the men earn, that you will be the trailblazer, like your women's boxing is way behind what the men earn, but there's a lot of talk about in other sports equaling the pay? Do you think is that will that day ever come during your career?
Well, I'd love to get a nice contract like Canelo gets, but
it's only 30 million cash we got the other night. Yeah, we'll be happy with that.
Yeah. Well, I think we are definitely getting closer and closer to that. I'm definitely making more money now than I ever thought I would have made as a professional fighter, which is incredible, really.
And Rose Valente even sent you a message.
Rose Valente, sent me a nice message after the fight, and she was able to buy her mother a house actually after the fight, which is incredible, really. That's life changing money for those girls, and it's great to be in this position. That's for sure.
How much do you think going forward that you'll be able to control your own destiny, because you have the 4 belts now, but obviously the organisation like the WBO and the WBA will look for mandatories. I mean, how are you going to handle those, Brian? Or are you going to
that'll be a bit of fun. That'll be a bit of fun. So look, it'll be. I suppose we'll just jump each fence as we come to it. I think they do appreciate anyone that was there the other night, what Katie is for the game and what she means. But look, they'll be imposing. We had Kimberly O'Connor there, so they will be imposing mandatories, and look, we'll have to deal with them, and we'll have to fight some of them. We'll have to just sort that as it comes, Sean.
In regards to Amanda Serrano, then, Katie, it's one of the few topics I think where we hear a little bit of a spicier side to you when she comes up in conversation, because obviously she speaks a lot in her own right, given that you're just out of a war with a woman who there didn't seem to be necessarily that much bad blood there. Could we expect the Serrano fight to be anything but a war, given what the words that you've exchanged over the last year, 18 months?
Yeah, have I exchanged some?
She's been doing a lot of talking. What did Katie say? She's been doing the talking. We'll be listening. It's probably more me. I think more me. Is it?
Mentally fragile, maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
that was strong enough for you now.
Yeah.
That was strong enough for you.
I mean, I maybe it will turn into another war, but these are fights, as I said, these are headline fights, and I think it's a fight that's absolutely made for me as well. I hope that fight can happen real soon.
Yeah. It's Puerto Rican living in Brooklyn, it's got
Puerto Rico against Ireland.
Age-old rivalry.
Add it to the list there. But what a fight! The headline in the Garden. So you couldn't. That's as good as you get. And as you can see, like, Katie's not afraid to take on all challenges. I think we were sitting here in the county club about, I think you had your 4th or 5th pro fight, and Katie wanted to fight to find pursuing in her next fight. So I said, no, well, Katie, look, let's slow it down a bit. Let me get a few more quid out of Eddie. Let us build the fight. Let us get the platform. And then she looks at me and she says, as long as I'm the one to beat her. So I'll never forget that. And that was probably a year and a half ago, or probably just a year ago. But so certainly Katie takes on all challengers. Every fight is a possibility, and we'd look forward to what the future brings.
One of the things that Person confirmed last night was that there was that both of you were tested afterwards on the Nevada program. I mean, is that something that's going to happen going forward, or will Serrano have to enrol in that program? Is that part of the contract?
It is indeed, yeah. So that would involve 3-month VADA testing, which is fairly extensive, and it's a 10-point blood system, which was carried out the other night. So that certainly would be on the back of that big baby Miller or whatever you call him. So yeah, look, you know, and at the end of the day, all you're looking for is a level playing field. I don't think that's too much to ask.
Yeah, just on the fight itself, you spoke about your own game plan, but on Pursune's game plan, she seemed kind of fond of using her elbows in her head during it as well. How did you find that at the time?
We actually knew that it was going to be a rough fight like that. We seen some of her obviously earlier fights as well, and she's always been rough inside and a dirty fighter, I guess. But I have no problem being dirty back as well. So
she's a great left shoulder.
yeah.
She's a great left shoulder.
I'm very good with my head as well when I need to. But you know, I think we were kind of ready for that and prepared for that.
No, it's part of
that's
professional
that's
boxing,
professional
and
boxing
you know,
as
I don't
well,
think
yeah,
you heard any
exactly.
qualms or any complaints
Yeah.
from our corner about it. So
Yeah,
it's
that's
that's life,
part
isn't it?
of
Really, yeah.
part and parcel of the sport, yeah.
Were you surprised by her engine as well? She seemed to last a lot, certainly towards the last one.
Yeah, I think we knew that as well. She punches non-stop for the 10 rounds. She's as strong in the 10 as she was in the first. So I knew that my condition had to be brilliant for that kind of fight. And
Yeah, well, definitely. I was extremely surprised for someone that was on that has asthma. It certainly took me by surprise, but sure, we'll see. We'll see.
so,
Katie, there were some high-profile sort of naysayers out there saying that Pursuit won and blah blah blah. How do you deal with that, or is that just part of professional boxing, tight fights, or does it actually get to you? That
I wouldn't say it gets me too much. I think I think well used to dealing with that side of things just from years and years of being involved in the sport, and this stuff isn't really new to me. So as I said before, the only opinions that I really listen to are the people closest to me, and they're very, very honest with me, and they have no problem saying if I lost a fight, if you think that I lost a fight, you'd have no problem saying that. So
Good they're talking about it. Sure.
it's but
More than someone saying you're a bad writer. Jimmy.
and
You know you're not. So
Brian told you you'd won it at the end.
yeah.
Did you believe him? Did you think you'd won it at
Yeah,
the end?
I
You
knew
actually
it was.
felt-
I knew it was very, very close. That's for sure. I knew it could have went either way, but I think both Brian and Ross were very confident that I won the earlier rounds, and it definitely reassured me a small bit. But I was definitely delighted and relieved when the decision was announced. That's for sure.
Is that the closest fight you've been involved in? Even go back to the amateurs, Ochigab in the Olympic final, that was close as well. Is it?
Exactly, yeah. I've been involved in I think in a lot of close fights, but nothing as high profile as this, I guess. I've been involved in so many fights over the years as an amateur where nobody's seen the fights, but they're very, very close fights.
you need
This
to.
Remember that
is
fight
like
against Underwood in was it Barbados?
Exactly, yeah.
Where you came
Queen
back
Underwood,
and
yeah.
scored
That's
3
exactly
fights in the
Good
last.
fighter, yeah.
That's for sure.
But
Yeah, that's another fight where we had to dig deep
deep.
actually.
Do you
But I
you
think
could
Johnny,
work-
you just need to look at to find Pursune's face as well. You know, it was a grueler. Like it was an epic battle, and
Do you think the fact that it was so close could wind up working in your favour? Granted, you won the fight
Yeah,
anyway, but
yeah.
just the fact that all along there were people who might have been only casually interested in boxing and kind of felt going into every fight you were going to win and mightn't even necessarily stay
Yeah,
up and watch it,
yeah.
and now you've got somebody on your level or near enough to it, and a
That's
potentially
it,
great
yeah.
rivalry there.
Exactly, and that's exactly it. This could be potentially a brilliant rivalry, and this is exactly what women's boxing is, I think. I think my stock has definitely gone up after that fight over the weekend, and you know that was as I said, a fight of the year contender, and it's a fight that people want to see again. So the rematch is going to be inevitable. I can't wait for a rematch. Actually, it's going to be a huge fight, a mega fight actually. Similar to the likes of Golovkin and Canelo, and you know those kind
all
of
them
fights.
great rivals, yeah, which is very important.
Going into that rematch, whenever
Sorry,
it
a bit
happens.
too much closer to maybe Ward and Gatti, that one. Though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A bit too close to that.
Yeah.
When you do go into that rematch, whenever it happens, will you feel as though you have a point to prove slightly in the fact that the fight was so close, and the fact that, in fairness, a lot of people felt it did go the other way?
Yeah, I mean, I think I will win the fight a lot more convincing next time, and I look forward to that day. But as I said before, I'm not really too concerned about what people are saying or whatnot. I'm sitting here as the Undisputed champion with the 5 belts here, and you know that's all that matters really. I have the 5 belts, I am the champion, and Who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The best of luck to
So
them.
realistically, Brian, do you think if we're back here, if we're all alive in 12 months' time, will the fight have taken place then? A rematch?
Were you in Define Pursuan's house? Now let's get that. Were you in?
I was in her,
You were in
her manager's house.
in her manager's house. Okay, just get that clear first of all. So you're, look, I suppose possibly yes. Certainly the next 12. You know, if Serrano fight happens this year, Brackhouse is lined up after that. Originally last week, if I was talking to you, I would have said would be fighting Celia Brackhouse. You know, she's 147 pounds. We're 135. Would fight her at 141. Which would bring all her belts into it, so that'd make 2 undisputed champions against each other, which is again another crazy piece of history. I don't know, Katie just keeps rewriting history. Hasn't happened for many years, but I would have told you that would have been on the Wilder Joshua undercard, but now that's so the landscape changes. So, for a fight of that magnitude, for a stage, 2 undisputed champions, last week I would have been telling you to get the money that you deserve for a fight like that. So it changes every week. 12 months time, Sean, that's a tough call, but certainly in the next, I suppose, 18 months, 12 to 18 months for sure.
So would the Brackhurst fight happen before the end of the year then? Or?
Well, Serrano would be first. Yeah,
First.
Serrano has signed. Like I can't stress that enough. That the fight is agreed. It's done. You know what I mean? It's.
She is disputing that fact though.
But I don't know how. I've seen the contract that she signed. Lou DiBella, her promoter, signed it, and he has promotion rights. And I've seen Eddie, and I've gone through it and seen it. And obviously, we've agreed on our side. So, like the fight is, as far as I'm concerned. If she has some dispute with her manager or promoter, I don't know anything about that.
So Joe Ward could make his debut on that.
Joe, seemingly, yeah. The best of luck to Joe. Supposed to
pro?
be, supposed to be. Now we've heard a few rumours, but it looks like this could be true. So the best of luck to Joe. I miss for Tokyo now, I have to say.
Katie, have you any ambition to go up to super lightweight? Because it looks like McCaskill has 2 in the belts now and might have 4. I mean, that would be.
That would be another issue.
Super fight, yeah.
If McCaskill even becomes undisputed champion,
Yeah.
or whoever becomes undisputed champion in that weight category, that's another huge
Another
fight, isn't
fight.
it? It's
So she's 2 belts at the minute.
yeah.
Good question, Sean. There's another fight. So like stuff, the landscape
Yeah.
changes. She picks up another 2 belts. She's undisputed champ. Like what a great fight that is.
She was there the other day. I thought.
Yeah. But at least she's working. She's fought since. She's that's what the fighters need to do is keep busy and get out there. And she's picked up another belt, and really that's what Define Pursuit needs to be doing, not just sitting in Belgium there crying or whinging.
Brian, do you pay much heed to what you hinted at there, the kind of grievances that camp have aired about whether that be the pre-fight or the result or even the contested or
None whatsoever. So there was Hotelgate in the start of the week. There was all kinds of BS. You couldn't keep up with it. I don't know. You'd be better off reading the Dandy magazine or the Beano or something. At least you get a laugh out of it. No, I don't know. It's all just. I think, look, it's a very big stage. She hadn't fought. Don't forget now, she'd only fought, I think, once. Was it in Switzerland in 4 fights? So when you go to America, it is very different. There's 5,000-10,000 at the weigh-in. So I think they were just hadn't seen this kind of stage before. But no, listen, this is, at the end of the day, this is all that matters here. The belts are here, and
With the attention that fight got, both during and afterwards, and the exposure it got as well for Katie, does it make the Serrano fight possibly actually bigger than you had anticipated previously?
I certainly believe it does. I think it makes the Serrano fight and the Pursuan rematch as big as any fight in boxing. And let's just drop this male-female bullshit. Do you know what I mean? It's boxing. You pay, you get entertained, people buy at the gates, you know what I mean? Sponsors come on board, viewing figures. So it's boxing, and that was as good a boxing where you couldn't get any better than that. We stole the show on Madison Square Garden on a magic night, and I suppose everything else has to toe in line to that. As far as I'm concerned, it's as good as any fight out there. And we all had the Mayweather Pacquiao. It happened 5 years too late. Who gave a damn about it? It was too. We want to see Spence Crawford fight now. You want to see Canelo and Triple G. You want to see Wilder and AJ fight now, and Fury. You need to see while they're in their prime to fight. And I think that's where MMA has done so well, that everyone, and Conor McGregor always fights the best, and the best fight the best. And I think that's what you seen the other night.
With you previously headlined in London, obviously, and it was quite a groundbreaking moment. I think first female headliner on Sky Sports at the time, and obviously headlining in America and particularly in the Garden is a little bit different. Would that have been on your mind when you turned over originally, like that would even be possible? Because the landscape even back then was so different.
Yeah, I didn't really know how this was going to go when I did turn pro. I remember sitting with Eddie Hearn and Brian, less than 3 years ago, and we were kind of saying we're going to take a risk with this. We didn't really know how the journey was going to go, but we didn't know how people were really going to perceive women's boxing, and just seeing how far it's actually come over the last few years is incredible. And I'm in a position now where I feel like I can headline a show in Madison Square Garden, in New York, which is phenomenal.
Some statement to be able to say that, because
so
even back then we had no contract. We done it on faith. And
Have you got a contract now?
no, myself and Katie don't. An old handshake. So we have one with the zone. We have one with the zone, of course. Now, yeah. Well, you moved into different, So but that was the first contract, wasn't it? After nearly 2.5 years, which is nice too to be able to say in the boxing world.
You don't have any contact. I was just thinking the other day, it must be light years away. So remember you wrote that letter to Deirdre. You don't have any contact with her now, no?
I don't actually know. I haven't heard. I did a piece about her maybe a year or so ago on the Zone,
Nice
and then she
piece.
sent me a nice message, but I haven't been in touch with her since then.
No, it would be nice to see. Is she living actually? Is she in Ireland?
She's in America.
In America.
She spoke to her last week.
Spoke well, yeah.
She didn't resign, so
So like all them fighters, looking at this now and
Those girls definitely paved the way for the rest of us.
put in the foundation for.
Were you getting a sense, Katie, of the following that you're generating here? Like many years ago when I was sports Brian, I remember in Conahula and wrote I missed Italian 90 because I was there. You find yourself maybe in a bubble, but you realise actually what's going on around the following that you're generating, and like I've just seen people who would never be interested even in boxing are just now copping onto what you're doing. Are you aware of the following you're generating?
I'm not aware too much of what's going on, but I know the support has been absolutely fantastic, and the reaction from the fight has been amazing as well.
She walks around Vernon, no one knows her anyway in
that's it.
And you're not big on social media or big on stuff, so probably not. Yesterday, but like look at the support when she came back, when Katie landed there, it was fantastic. Or was it for Shane Ross or was it for you?
Shane Ross is home.
Shane Ross is home.
I suppose the point is that kind of thing that you open the airport doors, whatever about Ross, does that surprise you to see that many people there?
I was definitely surprised at that, and just the amount of media that was there as well. I wasn't expecting that at all, but to see the reaction was absolutely brilliant.